Good Packer Nation Wednesday morning, guys and dolls. It is coming. It's Wednesday. It's going to be a long week waiting for Packers against the Giants, but we're getting there. Let me know who you are, where you're coming at me from. We'll do a little Packer Nation roll call as we start this show called That Was Then, This Is Now. Yeah, it was a long time ago the Packers played the Giants in Week 5. A lot of things have changed in between. We're going to talk about that in today's show. Lauren is here from Florida, where it's probably a wee bit warmer than we're experiencing. Bryce and John are on. John in Texas as well. Mike, good morning, everybody. Yeah, it was a long time ago when the Packers played the Giants, and our teams are completely different. Mike and Monica and Peter is here. There is, a couple things I wanted to mention. Hey there, Roger, Philip, Candy. That was then, this is now. Back then, the Packers' defensive backfield was already injured at this game. Eddie Lacy went out in this game. However, he had like 81 yards before he did. How about this? Anybody got if you want to reach up and hit that laugh button. Back when the Packers played the Giants, the Vikings were the last undefeated team in the league. What do you think about that, Heidi, Kirk, Tom? That was then. This is now. Packers in the playoffs sent the Vikings packing, sent them home. But now with another rematch against the Giants were a different team as well. Packers, remember back in the first meeting, the Packers opponents were averaging 1.8 yards rushing against the Packers defense. Timothy is here, Dusty, Russ. That was then, this is now. We're not quite that good just yet, but that was key to the game against the Giants. The Giants could not run the ball with our front. We were able to stop them. We were able to stay in a two deep safety look. We got to do that again, folks. It's going to be key. But that was then, this is now. Now the Giants have Perkins. Paul Perkins has been running quite well. And the Packers' defensive backfield is pretty much decimated. However, we got Jake Ryan back. We got Blake Martinez back. Now, we'll see if Joe Thomas can go. Of course, it's Wednesday, so we'll finally start getting some information on the injury situation. I know Lindsay and Marley and Deborah are all waiting to find out who's going to be available in this game. But Demarius Randall was inactive for the first game against the Giants. And remember, Chris Banjo also went out in that game. Now, here's the thing. Eli Manning had a bad game. Let me just read this off to you because I did check this out. Eli Manning, 18 of 35 for 199 yards. He did have the one touchdown, I think, to Odell Beckham. But here's the thing. Eli Manning missed about 4 big-time shot plays in that game. We can't expect that to happen again. And especially with our defensive backfield so banged up now. Micah Hyde's going to have a big role to play in this game. They're going to put him on the outside. That would be huge. If he goes outside again, there's Odell. But the Packers, with only 2 sacks in the game against the Giants first time around, were able to get in Eli Manning's face enough to keep him rattled. And we're going to have to do that again. But if you think about it, 2 sacks and a lot of pressures, that has basically been the MO of our pressure of late. It was the same thing we did to Stafford. We're not getting 4 sacks a game, but we're doing enough to keep quarterbacks rattled. Now, we need to have the 4 sacks a game come back. That would be great. How about Kyler Fackrell, number 51, with a strip sack fumble of Eli Manning in the first outing? Our special teams are going to need to play better this time around. One of the things that's going to be a big change in this game, number one, we know with no Eddie Lacy, this would be a huge concern if we were still struggling. But we've got weapons now in the running game. Remember, Aaron Ripkowski had a huge play basically to close out this game. At the end of the game, 3rd and 1, and he goes for like 13 yards carrying both teams on his back. So Aaron Ripkowski's going to have a part to play in this game. Here's another one. Remember, No Jared Cook. Richard Rodgers had, he dropped a touchdown. I'm just going to put that down. He dropped a touchdown. Perfectly thrown ball by Aaron Rodgers. This time around, and also Richard Rodgers in blocking in this game, it was abysmal. He was against Jason Pierre-Paul, who will be out of this game as well. There's another that was then, this is now. But we'll have Jared Cook, and I said Jared Cook's going to have a big part to play in this game. Because that was then, and this is now. We're a different offense. However, they're a little bit of a different defense, but in this game, JPP is going to be out. He was hoping to be back if they made it to a divisional round. Let's just send him home. I want Jason Pierre-Paul to get 100%. So let's just send him home for the playoffs. Let him rest. Justin, I agree. Cook's going to have a big game. The Packers in this game did the exact thing that the Giants are going to try to do to us. The Packers in this game, I don't want to see no huddle once in this game. We went out, we stayed away from the no huddle. First series, we marched down the field. We took time off the clock. Touchdown. And we're capable of doing it. And Aaron Rodgers had 2 interceptions in this game. That was then. This is now, right? Of course, the one was tipped off Jordy Nelson's hands. Jordy Nelson. That was then. This is now. Jordy Nelson had several drop passes. Some very tough ones. Had the tip ball. Had the long ball that came right to him. Couldn't bring it down. That was then. This is now. By Jordy Nelson's standard, it wasn't a great game for him. I think he had 38 yards. Yeah, 38 yards on 4 catches. It's still, the average is still up there. But that is not the kind of Jordy Nelson we're seeing right now. Devontae Adams had a good game. Which wide receiver had the biggest game in the first meeting against the Giants? That would be Randall Cobb. 100-yard game. I said Randall Cobb. I said that's why I don't expect to see much of Geronimo Allison in this game. Randall Cobb and Jared Cook are my guys right now. And remember, Cobb had a touchdown called back in that game as well. Oh no, we've got a fireworks comment. It just disappeared. I couldn't see your name. Sorry. Oh my. Yeah. And Jordy, I can see the comment. I think it's Marley there. Jordy's got a new fire under him. This offense is clicking. And without Jason Pierre-Paul, remember the first meeting, the Giants could not, our offensive line stuffed this high-priced defensive front. Vernon Davis, a couple $100 million or whatever. I think he got like 50-some million guaranteed or 100 million guaranteed. It's craziness. Now with Jason Pierre-Paul not able to play, David Bakhtiari is going to be fine. This Olivier Vernon thing, or actually the JPP is big, right? Because we're not sure how Brian Bulaga's doing. Hopefully we find out he's fine today. We're not sure how Jason Spriggs is doing. Aaron Rodgers had from 4 to 8 seconds all day long against the Giants first time around. Now that was then, this is now. But I think that's going to be key. I don't think the Giants are going to be able to find a magical way to change that without JPP. Now, of course, the health of our offensive line is in question. That's probably the biggest question. Virginia's got Cobb with 4 TDs in this game. 4 TDs this season. Allison has 2, and he's seen way less snaps. Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, one thing, if you look at Geronimo Allison's touchdowns, what you're going to get with him, he's a great mismatch because he's your third wide receiver. He's a big, tall guy. He ends up on a linebacker. It's fantastic. Good to see. But he's not going to do anything of the kind in this game. It's going to be all Randall Cobb. That's my bold prediction. So it's 2 different teams. Giants defense has been playing well, but we still have Janoris Jenkins, who in the initial outing, Janoris Jenkins did a good job against Jordy Nelson. But again, Jordy Nelson was not playing quite the way he is right now. Jordy Nelson really came on strong and has become almost unstoppable at times. Jenkins doesn't have a chance. He's in question with a back injury. If he plays, If he plays, is he going to be able to keep up with Jordy Nelson? He's going to probably follow him around unless they, because of his back, they change the game plan. Philip is making the comment, how about we cut out the offensive penalties? And that's one of those things. We had the same problem against the Giants the first time around. Randall Cobb's touchdown gets called back. Then we saw it against this offense. It's one thing that has been coming on again. We are generally not a highly penalized offense. And frankly, half of it has to do with some mob boss in Vegas calling down and making sure the Packers get called for holding. Because are you going to seriously sit there and tell me in that Detroit Lions game that Clay Matthews didn't get held at all? Not one time. Neither did Perry, neither did Dayton Jones, and neither did Julius Peppers. Not a single one ever the entire game. Holy smokes. That said, yeah, we definitely have to knock out the penalties. We had that problem first time against them as well. So I think Jared Cook has a chance to have a really great game. And the comment was made yesterday that he hasn't really had a breakout game. And this would be a great time to do it, right? Also him, I want to see him. He seems to like to get his nose in blocking more than Rodgers does right now. Nick Perry had a good day against the Giants first time around. Of course, he was had use of both of his hands that time, but he isn't seeming to have any problem with that club. He didn't against Detroit anyway. The Giants played without DRC or Eli Apple for a good chunk of that game. This is going to be big. But again, that was then. This is now Aaron Rodgers. Okay, I'm sorry. Aaron Rodgers is the league MVP. I did some math. You can talk about, everybody talks about the number of touchdowns. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers had more touchdowns than anyone, but he also ran it in 4 times. Aaron Rodgers is responsible for 264 points for our offense. 264 points. The next closest one is Drew Brees, and he's 30 points distant. Aaron Rodgers is the league MVP. And you can talk to me all day about how he started. It's not how you start in this league, it's how you finish. There is no one playing better in the league. Hey, look at the list I looked at. Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Derek Carr, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. Hey, any one of them is their team MVP. But the team MVP has to stack up against everybody else, and Aaron Rodgers is the league MVP. I don't care how the vote comes out. Hey, thanks, Andrew. But the cool thing about it is this, and I love that they don't announce it till the end of the year or whatever. But the cool thing about it is this. Aaron Rodgers, at the end of the year, is going to look back on this, and he's not going to care what the voters said about him. When he picks up the Super Bowl MVP, has another ring, and brings another trophy home to Titletown where it belongs. He's not going to be concerned about that. And anyone who voted for someone else will look the fool on top of it. Hey, Mike. But we got a big game ahead. Like I said, we're going to need this. This team rises and falls with Aaron Rodgers, but within that framework, we need to control the clock. Aaron Rodgers can control the clock as well as running the ball. Now, we were able to run the ball a little bit early on, of course. So, of course, we've got to get Ty Montgomery going. We got to get Rip going. Force them to commit a safety to the box. Now they're in real trouble. Now they've showed their hand, and they're in real trouble with Aaron Rodgers at that point. And that's where once in a while that shot play is going to come in. But frankly, they can go too high safety. Jordy Nelson is as good as anybody at splitting a too high safety and scoring a touchdown. The thing that I think concerns me the most is this. Well, let's do this. Marley has a great question. Is the O-line healthy enough? All right, my short answer is yes. I don't even know how Brian Bulaga and Jason Spriggs are, but my short answer is yes. My long answer is Our O-line was absolutely decimated last year against the Cardinals in the playoff game, and we were almost able to pull that game off. We've got Aaron Rodgers behind center. J.C. Treader is coming around, so there might be some versatility there. Not that I want to make any changes, obviously. Brian Bulaga, all right, guys, give me a thumbs up if you feel the same way I do. I feel like wild horses can't drive Brian Bulaga away from this game. I mean, and Joseph is mentioning Brady got suspended for 4 games, so he shouldn't be. And his team went 3-1 while he was gone anyway. It's arguable that he's not even the most valuable player on the team. But I think Brian Bulaga plays in this game. And with the absence of Jason Pierre-Paul, he's going to be fine. Even if he's not 100%, I think he's going to have just a fine game. With JPP, they couldn't get any pressure on Aaron Rodgers last time. Now, if you don't get pressure on Aaron Rodgers now, because our receivers are playing much better ball, watch out. Because we've got a lot of weapons, as Angel's saying. So I see, but here's the thing, you look at this game, because the Giants are going to try to do the same thing. If they can stop the run with their front, and we don't have Eddie Lacy in this game, and they can go too high safety, protect themselves a little bit, try to keep things in front of them, and they don't want a shootout either. No one wants a shootout against the Green Bay Packers right now. Nobody. So that's what Ben McAdoo is going to be. Now, you got to give McAdoo a lot of credit. A Packers product, McCarthy's coaching tree. First year, has done a good job. Team didn't look good. The team looked terrible in the preseason, which, that's preseason. We know that doesn't really matter. But they looked really bad. Then they came out of the season, and it didn't look like that was going to be much better. And then they've turned it around and really had a great last half of the season. They found a running game, which was extremely important. Their defense is playing better. This is there's a triangle for historically great Giants teams, at least in the recent past. I'm not looking way back. But it starts with an excellent defense that can get a lot of pressure on. And then you've got a strong running game, a ground and pound usually type running game. And then you've got, a quarterback that, is pretty good. I mean, Eli Manning is serviceable. I don't think he's fantastic. He's got a couple rings. He's made a couple sensational throws in his career, one of which put down a Patriots perfect season, which I was very happy to see. And Mike is mentioning, too, this is a great comment, Pennell is back after his suspension. I'm a little disappointed in that guy. You can emoji me your thoughts on Pennell. I'm glad he's back. So emoji me your thoughts with him having him back. That rotation gave Kenny Clark a lot of reps, and he came on. He responded. Now we get to bolster it a little bit. Good comment, Josh. I want to talk about this. Josh is mentioning we have to win the turnover battle, right? We've been doing a great job of that. Well, guys, Aaron Rodgers in the first meeting threw 2 picks, and regardless of whose fault they are, we still beat them 23-16. Now, I don't, at this point, with the way the Giants offense has been playing, I don't expect our defense to hold Eli Manning and the Giants offense to 9 points for all the way into the fourth quarter of this game like they did. But I think we can do enough. Paul's here from Ohio. So with that said, the turnovers come into it. Aaron Rodgers is, knock on wood, he's not throwing them. And Kyler Fackrell had the strip sack fumble that we recovered. And we had at least two, I believe, interceptions that were dropped in the initial game against the Giants. So when we distill this out, this is going to be a that was then, this is now sort of scenario. However, the X factor for me in this game, and it's the same for both teams, but the X factor for me in this game is that the Giants, they know the playoffs. But that's where Ben McAdoo, his familiarity with what we do is, moderately important. But he also has playoff experience. And this Giants team has a lot of guys that have sort of been there and done that. They're not going to be starry-eyed going into this game. Shout out for the most consistent player on our roster, Jake Shum. He's come on. Yeah, and we're going to need it. Well, and that's going to be extremely important for field position. That was another thing that even though we really stymied the Giants' offense first time around, we gave up some field position in this game. We're going to need to do better on kick coverage units. Now I think we have a little bit of a fire. That was then. This is now. We got Micah Hyde back there in this game. We didn't have any punt return to speak of. We had our speed burner back there, but really didn't get anything accomplished. Donna's here from Atlanta. It's going to be an interesting game. I think the Packers, obviously, at Lambeau Field have the upper hand. I'm not sure what the odds are. Somebody will probably roll it up on screen at some point. But it really struck me, because when they watched this film, Brady Nelson was watching this game and going, kind of covering his eyes and looking away a little bit. And in the back of his mind, he's going, that's not the game I'm going to have. 38 yards on 4 catches, that's not the game I am going to have in a playoff game against the Giants. And if we cut out the penalties, we move the ball. We move the chains. Randall Cobb with several huge plays in this game. He had his touchdown called back. So on offense, I think we're going to be able to move the ball. On defense, Oscar's mentioned our weak right side. This is all going to come down. It's not going to. Everybody's talking about the defensive backfield. That's not what it's going to come down to. This game is going to be won or lost on the defensive front as to whether we can stop the run or not. That's where the game is going to be won. And in passing downs, because if we can stop the run, we're going to get them into 3rd and long. If we get them into 3rd and long, we cannot let Eli Manning have a clean pocket. Eli Manning, when he rolls out, I've even got the numbers written down here somewhere. Yeah. Eli Manning, when he rolls out under pressure, his passer rating goes down to about 71. Aaron Rodgers' goes up to 114. They're both about the same, hovering around 100 in the pocket. We cannot let Eli Manning have a clean pocket, and we have to stop the run. This game is not about the DB situation. We had a banged-up DB situation last time around. Odell Beckham's going to make a few plays. He does it every single game. This game is going to be about the defensive front, and the beauty of this game is that we got Jake Ryan, we got Blake Martinez back. And Blake Martinez got burnt in the last game as well on a passing play. He got a chance to look at some film. He's played a lot more reps in between. He's going to need to step up his game, but Blake Martinez has been playing good football, and we're going to need him in this one. Because we've got to be able to stay. We've got to be able to keep our safeties up there. Pauline says Idaho loves the Packers. Yeah, Harold's saying great game plan last night, using Rip in the first, Monty in the second. They saw an opportunity with Ripkowski. I was on at Railbird Central, and Brian kind of seemed to get the feeling that they didn't trust Ty Montgomery. I thought, and from what you saw in the press conferences, Ripkowski was slated to run in the first half in particular of that game, because they saw an opportunity for him. I don't think it had anything to do with whether they trust Cobb or not. And then you saw Cobb the whole first half. Cobb had 40-plus yards in that game. This is the beauty of what we're doing right now. I talked about this yesterday. And I'm not going to get the numbers exactly right, but, Ty Montgomery, well, let's start with Rip. Rip had 62 yards, or whatever, 65 yards. Ty Montgomery, 40-some yards, 45, whatever it was. Aaron Rodgers, 42 yards. And we haven't even gotten Christine Michael going in one of these games. I think Christine Michael's my dark horse in this. So everybody get your ears on. Christine Michael is my dark horse in this game. Because we had a lot of success, and this is what Ripkowski isn't going to do for us necessarily, is being nifty in that outside zone and inside zone, where I think Christine Michael is, again, he's my dark horse. Because Christine Michael is the guy I don't think that the Packers offense and Coach McCarthy trust just yet. Now, if he gets going and we give him a shot, I think he's exactly the kind of guy that could tear the Giants a new one, to be quite honest, up front. But we'll see. This is the thing. Coach McCarthy is looking at where he thinks the defensive vulnerabilities, what types of matchups are we running into? And you got the Giants have Snacks in the middle. This is where Aaron Ripkowski, he's a big body, but he's a slower guy. He's not going to, Snacks folds him up. Aaron Ripkowski could probably throw him over his shoulder and carry him as well. But a guy like Christine Michael, his escapism is a little more nifty. You never know. I'm not sure how McCarthy's going to approach this one. Because doesn't Ripkowski make a lot of sense? It's December. It's regular grass. It's outdoors. Aaron Ripkowski makes a lot of sense. And when they see the film, you see what Aaron Ripkowski was able to do to the Giants last time around. Basically carried the entire team on his back, along with half of ours. And I think it was Collins, we're talking about how the scrum is back in football. And this Packers offense is good at the scrum. We win. And how great is that? It's a ground element. It's a successful run. It brings you to 3rd and short, or it gets you a first down on 3rd and short, and it takes time off the clock because it's inside. And Peter wants a little Nick Perry with the club, and he's got the... It's funny because, like, with Facebook or with your emojis, you can't do the double biceps because they're all facing the same way. You can do that. That's about it. We've got Nick is, I'm assuming, comparing Rip to Mike Allstott. And, this last game, it was as close a comparison as we've seen probably in the NFL for a long time, right? And I said when I was talking to Brian, this is a high compliment to Aaron Ripkowski. He is a fullback who was basically schemed into a starting tailback position because of what they thought he could do, what he brings to the table, and because of the high praise. Aaron Rodgers said, John Kuhn was one of my favorite players and teammates ever that I've had. And he said, Aaron Ripkowski is right along those lines. But do you think the running back in their meeting room ever sat there and said, geez, I think we could put John Kuhn in as our starting tailback in this game, and we'd have a lot of success because Kuhn can do this, Kuhn can do this, Kuhn can do this. They didn't do that with Kuhn. They did it with Ripkowski. Now, that said, maybe we should have, because Kuhn had like 3 touchdowns with the Saints in one game. But so it's no slight against Kuhn. I love Kuhn. But what I'm saying is, what a compliment to Aaron Ripkowski. And the point is well taken. Mike Allstott was not just formidable, not just the fullback, but this guy was a significant part of the offensive scheme. And you rarely see that anymore. Look at the percentage. I think John Kuhn was in there for like less than 10% of snaps, generally speaking. Why couldn't we keep Kuhn? Because of Aaron Ripkowski. Yeah, and I agree with Mike. And you're kind of comparing apples and oranges because Kuhn was at the tail end of his career. And Ripkowski's a young guy just getting started with a high ceiling. So there's no like or dislike about it. But what we're looking at is a fullback of a vastly different stripe than what you generally see in the NFL. All right. So, eliminate the penalties, win the turnover battle. I think time of possession is critical. I don't want to see hurry up unless we start to get them on their heels maybe. Because this Packers offense from time to time, it's going to score in short order. But we want to have, if we can take time off the clock, move the ball down the field, mix the pass and the run, and if we get Rip going and we force them to stack the box, look out. Now we're going to start scoring fast. Chad Screed Thomas says just business, which I love about the way the Packers do their business is they're always focused and they're generally very well prepared. So we've got a big-time showdown coming up. Aaron Rodgers is rolling. 2 interceptions last time around. Jordy Nelson is on fire. Only 38 yards last time around. Our offensive line is basically the same, if we can get Bulaga back this week, as it was when it stymied. I think JPP came around the edge one time and took Aaron Rodgers down to the ground. The only other time anyone was near Aaron Rodgers was a flag for going to the knees of the quarterback or something like that. Wade's asking about Wolf. Yeah, I mean, supposedly he's interviewing with the 49ers. Possibly there's some kind of talk that maybe Ted Thompson will move to a senior scouting position of some kind and Wolf would take his spot. I don't know what to make of it. I get it's probably, and I was talking to Jeff, not just kitchens, if you're up in the Madison area, everything home improvements. NotJustKitchens.com, by the way. That's a free, I don't get paid for that, but but I was talking to him and he said, it's probably just wishful thinking. And I agree. But boy, would I love to see Ted Thompson stay on with his talent evaluation ability and Elliott Wolf become the new GM. It would just be so great for our organization with, Ron and all of that going into the Hall of Fame this year and whatnot. However, Elliott could be going and doing this interview. We could lose him. But at the same time, he could be doing this interview to come back with a little bit of leverage to kind of make sure he gets the deal he wants. He's a young guy, but he knows this business. His dad, I'm sure, taught him well, or he wouldn't be where he is today. So good question. We got Gregory from Belgium. Good to see you. And Richard says, I think Wolf is forcing TT's hand. Yeah, I think more, Murphy and the board, but yeah. And, to me, it makes some sense because it plays to the strengths of both of these guys. Thompson hates the press. He's so deadpan standing up there, and he gets so much negative criticism. But he is fantastic at personnel evaluation. Elliott Wolf, he's a new guy. He's got a high ceiling. He's going to be in the game. Oh, and Thompson, he's heading, I don't know when, but he's got to be heading at some point toward retirement here. Elliott Wolf, on the other hand, is headed in the other direction and would make a great face of the franchise. As far as I know. I guess not like we've seen him. But that is all for another day. Because I think all of those things will sort of fall in place. And frankly, I think Elliott Wolf has all the leverage. Well, all of these things will fall in place after the season. We got to get this game Sunday afternoon. We play at Lambeau, which is a great thing, I think. But this is the first playoff game, and you can't be one and done in a situation like this. It's time to send the Giants home. Their season, it's time for their season to be over. They had a good run toward the end, but it's time for it's time for the head coach to teach the assistant out on the field at Lambeau on Sunday afternoon. Yes, Maurice is mentioning too that the temperatures could be an issue. Now, in the past, they haven't been an issue. The Giants have not had much trouble in the cold against the Packers in playoff games anyway. And McAdoo is going to be able to have them prepared regardless coming out of Green Bay. Angel says, hope Detroit beats the Seahawks. Yeah, I actually agree with that one. I think that's what part of the reason I wanted to. Obviously, there's the obvious reasons you want to send Detroit to Seattle. But I think Detroit has a chance to pull this one off. Seattle, the thing about Seattle is they can play great at home, and they suck on the road. They just lay egg after egg. But I think there's a chance for Detroit. I'm going to be very interested in that game. Vince is here. We're just about finishing up talk about this matchup between the Giants and the Packers come Sunday afternoon. But give you a shout out anyway, right, Vince? It's a great name. Everybody heart Vince for having the name Vince. Come on, how cool is that? It's not like, it's, who We can thank Mom and Dad, but... And Phil, give some love to the Packers grounds crew. They've done a good job. And all the people that came up and shoveled snow this year. I'm sure that's happened I would say twice at least. Vince is getting some love out there. I don't get any love for having the name Brady. I mean, for crying out loud, especially when that moron's in the MVP conversation. But it's my first name, so. Feel that Capers will be staying regardless of the outcome this weekend. Carry pot. Yeah, I think so. I think Dom Capers will be here. William, need to keep pressure on Manning. Yeah, we talked about that. We cannot let Eli Manning have a clean pocket in this game. And we know, and because I expect he missed at least 4 shot plays in the initial meeting back in October. And he knows he's going to have to hit those this time around. But Eli Manning, when it comes to the playoff time, watch the guy go. So I don't expect, hey Trevor, I don't expect for Eli Manning, you can't play that way anyway. But I don't expect him to miss him this time around. And I do expect that the Giants are going to score from 30 plus at least at one point in this game. Now, if we can get to Eli early and often, that may not be the case. Because once he's rattled, he can get just off for entire games. He's been really up and down this year. But when he's on, that's the problem. That's why the comment is, I agree entirely. Of course, it's true in any football game, but with the wide receiver core he's got, we have got to keep Eli Manning guessing. We've got to rattle him. We got to get him to the ground early and often. And Lindsay says, just rub my head for good luck. It is good luck. I have people rub my head all the time. Been good luck so far. Went up to that Seahawks game. I felt like I did my part. Packers were like, Brady's here. Interception, touchdown. That's how it went. I mean, they were like waving at me and stuff, asking for autographs. I don't know. And Todd saying, yeah, that's exactly right. Eli's unpredictable. And that's the thing that bothers me. And I say, let's make him predictable by dragging him to the ground, bashing him around in the pocket, and never letting him get free. In fact, actually, when he gets free, I mentioned earlier, I know Vince probably didn't catch this, but Eli Manning and Aaron Rodgers are, hover around that 100 passer rating in the pocket, fairly even. When I guess I'm repeating this for everybody that was here, but that's okay. This was telling though. When Eli Manning gets flushed out of the pocket, his passer rating drops to 71%, while Aaron Rodgers goes up to 114. So no question, we've got the better quarterback. I think our wide receiver core as a whole, as a group, and if you're especially including the tight ends, I think we still not only can compete, but we win that one. Especially the way you got a guy like Geronimo Allison that, again, like Virginia said, 2 touchdowns in way less snaps. But, their defense is playing better. They were not terribly effective in the game against Washington this past week. But again, they had a whole lot less to play for. So we will see how it goes, guys. Those are a few of my comments. This is That Was Then, This Is Now episode. And we wanted to talk about the comparison. These are 2 very different teams. The Packers, I think the biggest difference is, I think there's 2 biggest differences maybe. One is, the cornerback situation is desperate right now. But we were banged up already. Randall was inactive for that game. The initial game against the Giants. Chris Banjo went out in that game. Not to be seen again. We were already missing Sam Shields, just like we are now. I don't think that difference is as huge. Micah Hyde on defense had a big game. Now they're going to be asking more of him this time around. He was playing slot corner, I believe, in that game. For a big portion of it, anyway. On offense, though, are we not a different team on offense? However, we did look like ourselves in that initial meeting. We actually had a really nice offensive game. But Aaron Rodgers with 2 interceptions, are you kidding me? And yes, we had Eddie Lacy for the first half, and he was extremely effective, had like 81 yards. And then he goes out with the ankle, not to be, so we have adjusted. We've had time to adjust, and we found a more multiple running back situation on the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers is healthy and dangerous. You know, the Giants are almost perfectly healthy. That's the one thing that kind of sucks about this. They got JPP that won't be available. He had the surgery on a core muscle, I think. He was hoping to be back if they made it to the championship. Now he's maybe going to be back if they make it to a divisional round or whatever. Let's send him home. Like I said earlier, I want JPP to be 100%. Let's send him home, let him get healthy. Janoris Jenkins is still questionable, though. I guess he practiced and they're expecting him to play with his back. Now, he was a key to stopping Jordy Nelson in the initial meeting, so that will be a major matchup. But I think Jordy Nelson's another one that's going to have a big game. Big game. So that's the situation, folks. And Sunday it's coming. It's Wednesday, hump day. We're going to slide downhill into a big weekend and hopefully another big Packers win. We got some predictions rolling up. I'll do those Friday. So jump on into the show. Friday we'll do prediction. Friday, same pack time, same pack place. 9 o'clock Central. We got Vince has got his prediction up as well. You can check those out, guys. Yeah, I am getting ready to do my first tailgating video. Any of you guys out there like tailgating? I'm trying to do one on a beer, cheese, and caramelized onion burger that I'm sort of putting together. And I think it might make a delicious addition to your tailgating repertoire. I know you guys like to tailgate. Every Packer fan loves, every sports fan loves, every football fan, but Packer fans are fanatical about their tailgating. So hopefully I'll have something about that for you. Not for the live show, obviously, but... All right, guys, well, you have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to let you go for now, and I'll be back again tomorrow. Same pack time, same pack place. We'll see you then. Go Pack.